The triumph of the Taliban in Afghanistan, a new threat to the Yazidis? As we know, on August 15, after a rapid victorious march through the country, the Taliban militants entered Kabul, thereby returning to power in Afghanistan after almost 20 years. But who are these Taliban and are they dangerous for the Yazidis? The Taliban is an Islamist movement that originated in Afghanistan among the Pashtuns in 1994. The official religion of the Taliban is such a trend of Islam as Ashrism. Anyone who does not agree with this ideology, according to the Taliban, is lost and is subject to persecution. In the controlled territories, the Taliban introduces Sharia norms, the implementation of which is strictly controlled. Representatives of radical Islam have taken control of the whole country of Afghanistan. Many will say, how can this concern us Yazidis? Let's remember our history. How do radical Islamic groups treat us? The genocide of 2014 is an example of this. There is one nuance in the history of the Taliban. We know that since 2015 they have been feuding with ISIS, and they have never faced each other. Most recently, ISIS carried out a terrorist attack at the Kabul airport, which shows us that the fight between them is far from over. One can conclude that the enemy of my enemy, my friend. Unfortunately, the fact that the Taliban are at enmity with ISIS does not make them our allies. Unfortunately, they will treat us Yazidis the same as ISIS, because we Yazidis do not give up our religion. In addition to all this, this triumph of the Taliban, alas, can inspire other terrorist organizations, for example, ISIL, and move to more radical actions. The Taliban could do it, and so can we. This is what is becoming a new threat for the Yazidis, which may have more severe consequences than in 2014. New terrorist attacks, the desire to strengthen and seize control over new territories of Iraq and Syria. ISIS has always had such ambitions, especially after their enemy, the Taliban, won. ISIS will begin to act more rapidly. The Yazidis will once again become a punching bag. Yes, many optimistic experts will say, here is a more stable situation in Iraq and Syria, and such as in Afghanistan will not happen. When Gaddafi warned the Middle East that if we do not unite, we will be devoured by third countries, thanks to terrorist organizations, everyone laughed at him, and in the end, we see that this is what is happening. We Yazidis are suffering colossal losses. Every year there are fewer and fewer of us. He hopes for the world community and we ourselves will act as a way out of the current situation. It remains for us as a Yazidi to keep our finger on the pulse and act, and hopes that we will inform the world community about our pain and the possible threat of further. Cultural Center of the Caucasus Yazidis calls on international organizations and countries that are not indifferent to the fate of the Yazidis to act before a new tragedy occurs in the lives of the Yazidis and to provide, as far as possible, shelter in those countries where there is no influence of radical Islamic groups.